Hello guys, it's Tom here from the WB Trading Team, and on today's video I wanted to cover a question that we get asked quite a bit, and it's what is the ideal trading setup, or what can I realistically get away with in terms of trading? Can it be on a phone? Do I need a laptop, or do I need like a high powered top of the range desktop? So these are the things that we're going to cover on today's video. So in today's video we're going to cover trading on a phone. I'm going to talk you through why I don't think it's necessarily a good idea. I'm going to take you through the desktop that I currently use for my trading, which you can see on the screen here. And I'm also going to take you through the laptop that I actually started to trade with, which was a long time ago, when going back 9 or 10 years. And basically talk through what's kind of like the lower limit of what you would need, what's good but not really that necessary, and what you should avoid. With that being said, let's get started. Just very quickly before we dive in, if you're still struggling with your trading, or you'd like to know more about how mechanical edges are traded, I've put together a free video course for you that will map out and explain everything in detail, along with walking you through exactly how the mechanical rules actually work. If you'd like to watch that after this video, I'll pop a link in the description. You can click through and you can watch that straight away. So the first place I want to start is basically with the device that I think we all will have, or the vast majority of you, and it's, can we trade using our phone? Now, the simple answer to this is no, I don't think it is suitable. We can use our phone for some useful features, but overall it's much easier to trade either on a laptop or a desktop. But what can we actually achieve on our phone? Now, most brokers will have their own app. I've got open here the IG trading app, that's the broker that I use, and as far as trading apps go, I think it's relatively useful. There are some things that I think we can really benefit from using the trading app, but trying to actually place trades on it isn't one of them. Now I'll just go through some of the basic features so you can see here that I can choose a variety of markets. All the markets I have access to on the desktop app are available on the phone app, so you're not missing out on anything there. We can click on watch lists, for example. I can pick my own watch list. It transfers across from my desktop account. I'm in my mentoring account here at the moment, so anything that I do on that will transfer onto the app on my phone, and it lets you see things. I can check down here. At the moment in my mentoring account, I've just got a small value in there, but you can see how the profit and loss is behaving, how the margin's behaving, where your account's sitting at the moment, and going into the charts and things. Let's say I want to click on euro dollar here. I can see the price, I can see some of the details for the day, I can set alerts, I can look at market data, which is all really useful. And particularly, if you're not wanting to be sat at your desk the whole time, you want to see alerts, I think the phone is very useful for that. Setting an alert when a price reaches a certain level or when it hits a certain indicator, I think is going to be really useful to most of you, and it's going to save having to sit there and wait for the full day. Sit at your desktop isn't something that we all want to be doing, and having an alert that you can easily see and then return to your desktop or your laptop is probably going to be very helpful for a lot of you. Now, when we actually get into the charts, I'm just going to show you here, when it loads up on IG, there's quite a bit of functionality on this app. I do like it, but when it comes to actually placing trades and marking things out in detail, it can be a real struggle, I must admit. Now, you've got quite a lot of options down here. We've got all the time intervals that we have on the desktop. I'm going through to a 5-minute chart there, an hourly chart. I don't want this to be a review of the IG app, certainly. Most of the broker apps that I've used in the past have, well, a lot of these similar features. IG is probably one of the better ones. I also have a trading view app that I find very, very useful. But all of them do fall down in the same things, which is, okay, if I want to look back through, okay, it's relatively easy to skip back through the charts, but not the easiest thing in the world. Indicators wise, again, it's going to get very crowded very quickly if I'm placing a number of these indicators. If I'm going to put some moving averages on the chart, okay, I can see, but I'm going to have to really zoom in and see what's going on with them at certain points. I'll have to click on and add some more if I want to add an RSI, for example, or whatever indicators you're going to be using. It's going to take up the screen quite quickly, and just moving around and placing levels isn't the easiest thing to do. We have a drawing tab, we can draw some basic instruments on here, but when you're going to go into complex detail like putting fib levels on, then it becomes quite challenging to do, and it's much easier having a desktop or a laptop to do that functionality. Placing the trades, as I said, you know, markets are closed at the moment when I'm doing this, but we have the sell and the buy options up here. Again, you know, it's fairly straightforward typing it in. You know, if you know your trade settings, you know, if you know where your stop loss needs to be, your profit target, your size, etc. It's feasible to do it like this, but I think it's really, really difficult, particularly with plotting out those trades. And certainly in the way that we trade mechanically, we really need to be able to see that detail behind certain areas of the market. And therefore, it just doesn't work on here. You know, as I said, the really good points going back, you know, through to the main menu, setting alerts up, very, very useful. You know, even if you set them up on your desktop or on your laptop, they'll still come through here, so you'll be able to see them and catch them on the fly. And I think if you're going to use your phone for anything, that would be what I would use it for. But I certainly wouldn't go through and be trying to place trades solely on the phone. I think you need something that's a little more useful to use, say a desktop or a laptop, maybe even a tablet. You know, some of the apps on the tablets are very similar to the phone. Obviously you've got more screens, so it's a lot easier to place things and mark on levels, but even then I don't think it's any substitute for just, you know, using the standard mouse pad or mouse and keyboard. So that's where I'd be with the phone. Useful for alerts, useful for checking information. Don't use it as your only instrument to trade on though. So what's it like transitioning up from a phone or a tablet to using a laptop with your trading? Well, I think, to be honest, the difference is night and day. Now, this took me a while to actually get switched back on, because this was the original laptop that I started trading with about 9 to 10 years ago. So it's not the quickest. I don't currently use it for anything at the moment, apart from just some simple Word document stuff that I do. But, you know, it's still very useful. It's still a big increase in functionality against something like a phone. So I've just got TradingView loaded up here. I'm not going to skip between websites because this runs very slowly on certain programs. So, you know, I don't want to kind of have a load of loading screens. But in general, you know, the functionality we get here, looking through the chart information we get, if anybody's used TradingView, you know, and the same would be if I loaded up my IG on here, it's night and day. You know, it makes such a huge difference. And I think not only just placing trades, I'll just get rid of that ads. Not only placing trades, you know, using things like an Excel document or a spreadsheet, you know, Google Docs, for example, or numbers to track your trades. That's going to be something you can't do on a phone. Well, not very easily anyway. This makes such a huge difference. The functionality, it just allows you to plan trades out a lot better. Whatever type of strategies you're using, you're going to find this basically a lot easier to use. Now, one recommendation I have is that if you have a laptop, doesn't matter what type of laptop, you know, I mean, I suggest something a little faster and newer than this, but important thing is get one where you can plug in the option of a second monitor. I think that's really vital. That changed my trading. I can remember, instead of having to go back between screens, I had a second screen here with my, you know, going through my data, going through my journal, have the trades on this screen, or whichever way around you need it to be. It just makes a massive difference. It means you can avoid getting, you know, quite an expensive setup, which we'll come on to in a second, the one I currently have. I think that 99% of traders can get away with just having a laptop and a second screen, you know. And you might think, I don't need it, Tom, you know, I can just flick between screens fine. Yep, I do think it's feasible to do that, but you're going to notice the difference, absolutely. You know, it did make my trading a lot easier. It meant I could have my journal open the whole time, or if I needed to, I could have two charts open. I could easily see them. It's just a big advantage. So if I was starting out again, that's the approach that I would take. Now, obviously, you know, laptop prices and monitor prices, I'm not going to go through a huge list of how much it would cost you, but it's hopefully not going to break the bank to do that option. And like I said, you don't need a super powerful laptop. So as you can see there, my old one's about to die, but yeah, you don't need a super powerful laptop. This one is obviously very old, just using it as an example here, that I could still feasibly, if I had it plugged in the whole time, I could still trade off this. You don't need anything particularly fancy. But speaking, you know, what's kind of like a higher level spec, and you know, if you're really going to get into it, what do you need, or maybe what do you want should be a better example. We'll come on to my current spec now. So lastly, you know, what is my current setup right now, and you know, why do I have it really? Now, I got this a few years ago. It sort of slowly expanded out, but I really wanted to move from, you know, a laptop and an extra monitor situation to something that's Gives me a little bit more desk space, a bit more dedicated as well, and a bit easier to see and operate with. So I went for just a 3-screen setup, standard desktop, and I don't think it's as easily as big a leap as going from a phone to a laptop, but it has its advantages certainly. At the moment, I've just got my IG account open on my main screen. You can see here on the left, I've just got a journal, well, example journal open, and on the right, I've just got a trading view document open, just to look through and use it as an extra screen. And now, I would say half the time, I really only need 2 screens. I can have maybe some emails open or something on the third one, just to keep an eye on things. But when I'm looking at quite a few markets at once, it is helpful to split them up and have, maybe that screen being just my journal, and these 2 being, trading screens, looking at different markets, seeing what's going on. It just gives you options, basically. Now, I know some traders will want, more than 3. I know some traders that are up to 6 and 9 screens, for example. I think you can keep going and going. I really don't think, as I said, I really don't think any more than 2 is vital. I think each one you get will certainly help, but think about it carefully in terms of how much you're going to use those screens. I think that's an important factor. Before, when I just had 2, yeah, there were some times I thought, okay, it might be good to have a third one. And now I've got this set up, I probably couldn't go back to 2. But if we're looking at cost-wise, think carefully about it. The cost of this compared to just a laptop or monitor, there are significant differences. This will probably be if I work it out over the years in terms of money against a laptop and a monitor, probably 5 times the cost. Is it giving me 5 times the benefit? Probably not. No. It's good for other things. It's good for generating videos, obviously, and doing group calls and things, to have multiple screens to go between data. But for the most traders, it's probably not necessary. So, one of the main things I hope you take away from this is to say, when you see pictures of professional traders, big traders trading off a whole bank of screens, that's not required for every trader. Absolutely not. I know some really large traders that are just trading off a single laptop screen. It is doable. I think that, again, if I was to go back and start again, the sweet spot, I believe, is to have 2 screens, however you can manage that. Maybe if it's just a 2-screen desktop. Obviously, one thing that you need to take into account is space. Do you have the space for a setup like this? Is a laptop going to be much easier for you? So there's a lot of things to consider, certainly, but it's a popular question that I get asked, and I think certainly some newer traders, when they start out, they almost want to be thinking, actually, I'm going to spend my way to success in terms of getting a massive setup, going through it like that. I don't think you need that at all. It's something maybe to work towards, and you'll get a good understanding after a while when you're trading, whether you need an extra screen, whether it's really going to help. That frustration of flicking back and forward, and it also depends on your trading style as well. For our traders trading mechanically, we don't need a huge bank of screens to do that. It's helpful to have your journal open. It's helpful to have, obviously, 1 chart open at least. You can get away with, the advantage of having maybe some of the strategy information open on another screen to check that. But all in all, as I've said, 2 would be really that sweet spot, I think. So hopefully that has helped, going through some certain elements. As I said, one last thing, don't be trying to trade off this. It's really not going to give you that much benefit. It's just going to frustrate you, and it's just going to set you back quite a long time. So when you can, if you're serious about getting into trading, get yourself a laptop. It doesn't have to be brand new, doesn't have to be top of the range. If you can pick up a cheap second monitor, obviously make sure the laptop allows you to connect a second screen. Use that approach, and I think you'll be absolutely set, certainly. So I hope that was useful, guys. I hope it gave you an idea of realistically what you need to be able to trade effectively. You don't need a super high-tech computer setup. Certainly can help in instances, but as I said, laptop, second screen, basically that will do for the majority of traders. As always, guys, any questions, any suggestions for other topics you'd like to see us cover, just leave them in the comments below. Really appreciate that. Hopefully this has helped as always. And hopefully see you on the next video, guys. Take care. Bye.